to meeting each other as they enter into the Earth's atmosphere. After that maneuver, the Dragon will slew into a position where it's back at an angle where the heat shield is facing towards the Earth, so it can make contact with the atmosphere and take the loads, that is really the heat that's going to be surrounding the vehicle. It'll be that Pika tiling that you were talking about earlier, Andy, that's taking on about 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit as the Dragon itself enters through the Earth's atmosphere. The crew themselves will be experiencing about 4 Gs, which is why through a lot of this flight we've been getting regular check-ins with the cargo specialists here in Mission Control Hawthorne, making sure everything around the cabin was completely secured, because that's a lot of Gs. You don't want things flying around when you're going through this phase. It'll be about 7 minutes that the crew will be in this period where the vehicle will be completely surrounded by plasma, so we'll have a comms blackout and we won't be able to hear from the crew from quite some time. But this is really critical to have a safe re-entry and landing. You need to shave off a lot of velocity, and right now the crew is going very, very fast. They're going 17,000 miles an hour orbiting the Earth. They're in an orbital velocity right now, and so the atmosphere will do a lot of the bulk of the work to shave off that speed from 17,000 miles an hour to 350 miles an hour.
Yeah, and it does it primarily through friction. So
right.
The way I like to think about it is if you rub your hands together very, very quickly, your hands start to get warm. Imagine doing that at 17,500 miles an hour. It would get blisteringly hot, and that's really what the Dragon vehicle is experiencing upon re-entry. And all of that friction gets converted to heat.
Right.
It also slows down the vehicle. That way we can deploy our chutes and get a nice, again, soft landing in the Gulf of Mexico.
So again, we have a lot of recovery vessels that are ready for that moment. We're coming up on it, the very dynamic period that's coming up. It's just a matter of time before we hear confirmation of some of these critical burns that are going to be returning the crew home. The recovery assets have been listening along the way. They've been watching the weather, and a lot of them have deployed. So we know that the Go Navigator is out heading towards the recovery site. We know that there are fast boats that are going out as well. They're going to take the bulk of the work once Dragon splashes down to outfit it, to do a sniff check, making sure there's no hazardous gases that are leaking from the vehicle, and make sure it's very safe to bring aboard, because we have a lot of recovery personnel on board the Go Navigator. There are 2 helicopters that were deployed from shore not too long ago and are making their way out to the recovery vessel. There's a helipad that's on board these recovery vessels, and so they'll drop a lot of the recovery personnel off and head back over to shore. It'll be some time that the teams will be there to be able to take the crew off. There's medical personnel there. There's representatives from different organizations. We have European Space Agency. We have the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, NASA, and then of course SpaceX personnel all going out to support this landing.
And we are targeting under an hour after splashdown to get the Dragon vehicle hoisted up on the recovery boat and the astronauts out. It is a nighttime recovery, right, and we've done several of these already, and it really doesn't seem to slow down the recovery operations team. We have spotlights. There's a thermal camera that can spot Dragon when it's coming back down. So they have all the necessary tools to, again, quickly and safely recover the crew from the water.
That's right. There's a WB-57 aircraft too.
So, do you guys see what's happening? I'm getting my mic set up. I just wanted to go live right away because I don't know how long this takes, but people should just realize that right now there is a vehicle, I'm going to call it a vehicle, that is not in this world. It's in a world of darkness, free falling. And it's going to do some burns. That's what they call it. And it's going to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. And it's called a dragon. Everybody calls it a dragon. What does this say right here? Crew to mission return. Let's have some fun. Let's see. Crew 2 is the second operational flight of a Crew Dragon spacecraft. Anybody paying attention should realize that there's if you believe what is in the scriptures, if you believe that what John saw in his vision was something significant, then you would probably notice that there's a dragon in heaven, in the sky. So that's what this is all about. And there's people in it now. And I think that this has been seen before, this whole story. So let's watch for a little while. Looks like they're ready to go.
Following departure, Dragon did its first ever fly around of the International Space Station and then underwent a sequence of departure burns. Since then, the crew has enjoyed one meal aboard the spacecraft, and of course, they got suited up, which you're seeing from some of the views on board now.
In this next phase of the mission is when things really get exciting, Gary. Dragon has a series of steps to complete before returning Shane, Megan, Aki, and Toma home. First, Dragon will maneuver to the correct attitude and then jettison its trunk, which is, again, the cylindrical, unpressurized part of the spacecraft. The trunk is currently connected to the aft or bottom section of the Dragon capsule, where the heat shield is located. So in order to expose that heat shield and get the vehicle ready for atmospheric re-entry, we'll jettison the trunk.
From there, the spacecraft will use its forward thrusters to perform a deorbit burn, which will put Dragon on a trajectory to return to Earth. It really commits them to do so. That burn will last about 16.5 minutes once it starts.
And to prepare these upcoming events, right now the Dragon capsule is doing a couple of things autonomously. It'll start to isolate the thermal control systems, fluid loops from the radiator. This system is what will help keep the internal temperatures of Dragon temperate for Shane.
All right, Tiger Bear in the chat. What I'm gonna do is talk about that. Tiger Bear says, I'm still not convinced they are actually orbiting. I just don't understand it well enough yet. I think it's really simple to understand, even without understanding what an orbit or anything is. You don't have to understand any of the space idea. All of that is a trick. Everything that happens up in that place of darkness, it's being done exactly how men figure it will be done. That's why they send a probe to Mars, and now they've got all these pictures coming back from Mars. It isn't a bunch of people lying. I guarantee you that. So here's why it's simple. See, these are the people on the screen. They're just flying in some horn-shaped little capsule. And they're not anywhere in the earth. They're not anywhere that men should go. They went up. They did a job. They're doing a job for the devil right now. And I'll explain it. I'll explain it with the Bible too. So what I'm going to do is, can I do that? I can't really do that. Okay, let me open up. I just want to show you something that Isaiah wrote in Isaiah 14. And we'll do Bible Hub. Okay. It tells us what Lucifer wants to do in his heart. Verse 12, it says, How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. What did these guys do to get up there? They ascended. Ascended. It's just a simple word. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. What if that's their space station? They're just doing what Lucifer wants to do. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I don't know what that means exactly. Verse 14, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. They're doing what Lucifer is doing, or what Lucifer says in his heart. But look what it says in verse 15. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. That's where they're coming from. They're not orbiting anything. I'm going to play a video after a while, I think. I just uploaded a video. It's from the Testament of Solomon. A lot of people don't like that book or don't trust that book or whatever, and that's fine. I don't care. It's just a very interesting story, even if it's fiction, whatever. He talks at the very end of the book. He talks about these pillars, this great pillar, and that it would be. I'll put it back on the crew mission thing. That it would be the end of the world when these demons would carry this. They carried this pillar in the sky, this great pillar, and when he, hey Graham Coven, what's up? Good to see you. Haven't talked to you for a long time. Graham Coven is a friend of mine from a long time ago. I went and visited with him in Georgia. Good to see you, brother. And all of you guys, Artist of Elion, Joe Dirt, Tiger Bear, Wake Up, and Buzzin23. So, Lucifer wants to ascend into heaven and exalt his throne above the stars of God. Well, NASA says that they've got a palace in the sky. I think I put out a video today where I played a little clip of a NASA video where they said we put a mark in the heavens with their space station. A mark in the heavens. So let's listen in just to, I don't want to really miss the whole thing, but the point of this is not to watch the SpaceX Dragon guys and root them on. The point of this is prophecy being fulfilled over all this time since what was it, 2012 or something, 2013 when the Dragon first went up there. And when we think about it, where's God live? It says that all throughout the Bible that he looks down. He's the Most High God. He's up above us. So we'll listen in for a minute here, and I might go grab a video and get it ready. You guys gotta see some of these books. They talk specifically about this. The great pillar, Solomon saw how strong the demons were. Hi, Roxanne. How strong the demons were. And we were talking about like the strongest demon that he found was the one that lifted up this stone onto the temple for him that none of the other demons or any of his servants could do. They couldn't lift it up there, but it was the wind. It was a demon of the wind that did it. And think about the four winds, the angels that are holding back the four winds in Revelation. I want to look at some Revelation, so I might look up some scripture quick. We might listen to these guys while I do.
We've been providing continuous coverage, and we did get confirmation that departure phase burn, which we have discussed, takes the Dragon out of the co-elliptic phasing that is really matching the International Space Station with both the perigee and apogee, and puts it on a course with that landing site, which is Pensacola, Florida. That did happen, so we do have confirmation that all of the phasing burns, the departure burns that are necessary to line Dragon up for the deorbit sequence, which we're hearing is about to take place here momentarily, that we are all lined up. All of the burns have taken place. Dragon is in a good phase, a good position to get ready for this next sequence of very critical events.
And what that means is we have just one more burn left, the deorbit burn.
Right.
A couple of things need to happen, again, before we start this. In about 3 minutes, we'll begin to maneuver or slew the Dragon to the appropriate attitude in order to prep for claw separation and then trunk separation. After that, we'll slew back.
Slew the Dragon. Wow.
Thrusters,
Pick up, people.
underneath the nose cone will fire for about 16 and a half minutes. That will be what slows down Dragon and brings its altitude down enough to start to hit some of the atmospheric particles of Earth. And then from there, we'll start to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, enter that blackout period for about 7 minutes, where there's just plasma being built up around the exterior of Dragon. So we'll lose communications for about 7 minutes. After that, we'll regain communications.
Plasma.
Parachute deploys. We have two sets. First up is the drogue chutes that will take the Dragon the Dragon capsule velocity from about 350 miles per hour to 120 miles an hour. From there, the main chutes will deploy, taking us from 120 miles an hour down to about 15 for a nice soft landing off the Gulf of Mexico.
So that is going to kick off here very shortly. We're coming up on just about an hour from the predicted splashdown time. We did hear there were slight adjustments in some of the sequence, and that sequence, the deorbit sequence itself, about to begin here momentarily, starting with the claw separation and trunk separation, but that'll kick off. Once that sequence starts, it's about an hour timeline from the time that sequence starts to the time that we are in the water. We're still targeting 7:33 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, so again, everything that we just talked about is going to happen in that hour. So,
right.
We saw the crew enjoy their meal. They donned their spacesuits once again, and I really had a bit of a respite before these very dynamic portions of the operation. So things will definitely get exciting here in the next couple of minutes.
And we'll be with you every step of the way. We're expecting communications with the crew throughout each of these different phases, confirmation of trunk separation, the claw opening, the claw separation, trunk separation. When the deorbit burn starts, it's going to be quite a long time that those forward bulkhead Dracos will fire. It is the longest burn of the entire flight, the 8.5-hour journey from undocking from the International Space Station to splashing down off the coast of Florida.
Should I talk about the burn?
Minutes. In this particular phasing, because of the short flight, that is a much longer burn. With some of the longer phases, when we're talking about 18 or 19 hours, it gets a lot shorter.
Sequence start.
There you go.
Copy.
So again, that was confirmation of the beginning of the deorbit sequence. Again, it involves a number of different items to occur. Right now, again, the Dragon is starting to maneuver itself, orient itself to prep for claw and trunk separation.
So the first step is the claw separation. Right now, we're in the preparation phase. This is an automatic sequence now that we're in the deorbit sequence, which just kicked off. It's an automatic sequence that starts with claw separation.
The claw is essentially the umbilical that routes power to the Dragon capsule.
Claw.
As part
Is that what they said?
So we'll disconnect that first. Pop off the trunk, so to speak, and once that happens, the Dragon capsule is running exclusively on its own internal batteries.
Right.
Trunk, so to speak, and once connected as part of the trunk.
Now that we're in the deorbit sequence, which just kicked off, it's an automatic sequence that starts with claw separation.
Claw.
Claw is
Wow. I didn't ever heard that before.
That routes,
the claw.
Power to
Dragon's
the,
claw.
Dragon capsule. It's connected.
Slew the dragon and Dragon's claw.
So we'll disconnect
wow.
that first. Pop off the trunk, so to speak, and once that happens, the Dragon capsule is running exclusively on its own internal batteries.
Right.
I got to figure out how to get my other page open.
And there's plenty to spare too.
Okay, we're gonna catch up. I'm not caught up. Whoops! I'll just refresh it. Did you guys catch what I had on the screen there in Revelation? Might give you a different thought about these astronauts.
Right, landing site off the coast of Pensacola.
And we're hearing confirmation from the flight control teams.
Okay, we're just gonna mute that for a minute. Okay, let's look at this. And I saw 3. How many astronauts are on this thing on the way back? 3? I don't know. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to battle of that great day of God Almighty. What do you think a dragon is trying to do going up to the sky? Just think about it.
Crew 2's return, again, off the coast of Florida in under an hour now.
That's right, we are in the home stretch.
Under an hour, that's good.
So it is worth mentioning again that the Dragon vehicle itself is a very sophisticated, intelligent vehicle. The maneuvers that it has been doing throughout its undocking phase and part of its downhill sequences really are autonomous. The crew are definitely trained to help support Dragon in case things go off nominal, but really for the most part, Dragon is piloting itself. It knows where it's at, where it wants to go, and it's making all of these minor adjustments as needed. So the crew is in good hands. They are definitely on.
Did you catch that, Tony?
They need to be to return home safely back here on Earth.
I can replay it for you, Tony. I just saw your comment. Welcome, by the way. He says, "Do they have AI on the Dragon? Does it have a name?" The Dragon is AI. I mean, it's autonomous or whatever. Let me just play what he said about 30 seconds ago.
The crew is in good hands. They are definitely on the trajectory they need to be to return home safely back here on Earth.
He's going to say it right now, I think. It is worth mentioning, or something like that.
So we're just moments away. Again, the deorbit sequence has started right on time. So we had a confirmed claw separation and trunk separation. Dragon is now in an orientation with the forward bulkhead Dracos pointed where they need to be for this very critical burn, the deorbit burn. We've been waiting for this moment for quite some time. A lot of the departure burns that we've been following over the past couple of hours have been really in anticipation of this moment. We've been following weather all along the way.
I don't think I went.
Because once we start this deorbit burn, really there's no going back.
I don't think I went back far enough.
So it is worth mentioning again that
there we go.
itself is a very sophisticated, intelligent vehicle. The maneuvers that it has been doing throughout its undocking phase and part of its downhill sequences really are autonomous. The crew are definitely trained to help support Dragon in case things go off nominal, but really for the most part, Dragon is piloting itself. It knows where it's at, where it wants to go, and it's making all of these minor adjustments as needed. So the crew is in good hands. They are definitely on the trajectory they need to be to return home safely back here on Earth.
Okay, let's see here. Whoops.
Coordinate with the United States Coast Guard to establish a 10 nautical mile safety zone to ensure public safety and the safety of those involved in the recovery operations, as well as the crew on board their returning spacecraft. Multiple notices are issued to the mariners.
Okay, let me show you something. Let's see here. Let's go to our Bible Hub and let's go to well, you know what? Let me change that. Sorry. I hit the back button. I don't know why. Let's go to Jude. Because something in here is kind of important. This kind of tells us what kind of place it is. Okay? There's a place we'll look at in Revelation. But it's the same place. Where is it? Right here. Raging waves of the sea, foaming out their own shame, wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000 of his saints, to execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly among them, of all their ungodly deeds which they have ungodly committed, and of all their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. But this place of darkness, this blackness of darkness, that's where they're going. Let's see here. Now, I want to show you something, though. So there's a dragon being cast out into the earth, okay? That's in here. There's a war in heaven. And we know it's up in the sky because at first he saw a woman clothed with the sun. He said it was a wonder in heaven. And, hey, that was a good stream, Growler. Thank you. If you guys aren't subscribed to Beck from Oz, somebody put that in the chat. A link to your channel. They do good streams. Let's see here. So he saw a wonder in heaven, and it was a woman clothed with the sun, and it was the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. It's definitely up in the sky. And then he saw, guess what he saw? A great red dragon. Search Google for red dragon. I should probably do space. There's a lot of red dragons. Games. I could do NASA or SpaceX, but look at, guys, that's the vehicle they're in. SpaceX Red Dragon was a 2011 to 2007 concept for using an uncrewed modified SpaceX Dragon 2 for low-cost Mars. It was a mission that they never did. But that's what it was designed for, that. Mars. That's why I think it's called Red, because of Mars. That's what they're in right now. So then, oops, wrong one. Having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads. You know that dragon? Here, let's just do this. Let's just look at the SpaceX's website. Okay, 7 crowns, right? It could be interesting that if we look at this. Oops. The Dragon spacecraft is capable of carrying up to 7 passengers to and from Earth orbit and beyond. Yep, that one right there. That's the trunk. I don't know what the claw is. I'm not sure. They were talking about the claw. Maybe that's the claw. I don't know. I have no idea. There's the trunk. There's the capsule. See, it's horn shaped. It looks like a horn, doesn't it? Yeah, there you go. Taking humans to space. There's the Dracos. Okay, he was just talking about the Dracos. 16 Draco thrusters used to orient the spacecraft during the mission. So that's why they're trying to get it in just the right position so that they can land close to where they can get picked up and where it's safe. But so they fire these things, and fire comes out. So it's a fiery red dragon even. And there it is. Watch this. Oh, I guess this is a test. Whoa. So anyway, let's go back and watch this prophecy take place here. Oh, I didn't finish. Hold on. Sorry. Look at it. And his tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered for to devour her child as soon as it was born. Growler was just talking about that. Hey, Roderick. Growler was just talking about that on his stream about Satan's just, he is against the people of God. That's like he's deceiving people. He's trying to deceive everyone. But he's already got most of the world. He's deceived them. He deceived all of us. But there's truth that's available. A lot of people are realizing what this place is, where they're going. And a lot of people think they don't even go anywhere. Well, it could be said that they don't. They go into a place of darkness where there's nothing. They go to a place of nothing, where they fall, free fall. Or that's what they think. But it's just a place where whatever they think is what they get. That's, everything works so perfect up there, doesn't it? So, let me keep reading here. In verse 7, though. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. Well, who would Michael's angels be? I just want to explain what I think here, because have you guys ever seen this? That's one of these launches. Okay, what if Michael's angels were... Oh, you know what? Let me show you something. Let me read to you from Revelation 7 while I play that part on the screen, while that thing plays on the screen. That's those thrusters, or RCS thrusters, trying to reorient itself. And that's actually, I think, the Falcon 9 rocket that lifts it up there. So the dragon would be right to the left of that. It was right after they separated. Anyway, after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. For some reason, I think that people are getting sealed in their foreheads with the seal of the living God. And so this dragon is fighting against those 4 angels that are holding the winds. So I'll get that off the screen. So that was Revelation 7. But back to Revelation 12. So Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. Remember what I was just reading in Isaiah 14 about Lucifer, that he wants to, or he says in his heart that he's going to ascend into heaven and exalt his throne above the stars of God? It's exactly what these people are doing. That's their father. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's their father. They're doing what their father wants to do. And they're definitely not believing what in the Son of God. And this message, this whole book was from him to his servants. It's what it says in Revelation 1. I'll even show you. But so anyway, he deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. We're talking about the heavens. That's where they think they're going. And then what did it say in Isaiah 14? It said, Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. That's where they're going. And where is it in Isaiah 5? Let me show you Revelation 1. This is why the book of Revelation is so awesome. The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John, who bare record of the word of God and of the testimony of Jesus Christ, and of all things that he saw. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. So this is a message from God. This is a message from Jesus, and it's his testimony. Where else do we have the testimony of Jesus? Do you know what I'm saying? This book is awesome. Everything in this book is probably the most important book. So he gives John a vision, and he shows up in the vision. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord, which is, and which was, and which is to come, the Almighty. These people don't know what they're messing with. But they're doing exactly what was shown in the vision. That's why you don't hear me talking about very much but this. Like, there's other important things that are happening, but for people to not realize this, if you're into this, you're sinking into the pit. Like, if you're into space, if you believe it even, think about it. Where does God live? God's in his throne up in the sky. Jesus at his right hand. That's what's true. And what is Jesus, when he comes with the brightness of his coming, what does he destroy? Probably the very thing that we're looking at on the screen, this stuff. That's what I believe. So let's listen in a little bit more.
The trunk jettison that we just had sheds a lot of mass from the vehicle. It actually makes this deorbit burn a lot more.
I gotta refresh.
the docking mechanism that's been used to keep Dragon attached to the International Space Station for 6 months. It protects some of the guidance and navigation equipment. Of course, this vehicle is reusable. We're seeing it now. This is a reused vehicle. It was used originally on the Demo 2 mission. So all critical functions that need to be protected before it slews to the position where the heat shield is pointed right towards the Earth and does the heavy lifting of protecting the capsule and, of course, more importantly, the crew inside from the 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit that's going to be experienced as the Dragon capsule enters the Earth.
Yeah, as part of the recovery operations after...
Dragon, deorbit burn complete. Performance nominal. Nose cone closure has been initiated.
Copy all. Good. Deorbit burn.
That is the news that we were looking for, Andy. Nominal deorbit burn. That means that burn did its job. You see, immediately we're going into closing the nose cone. So now that it's done its job, the forward bulkhead Dracos will not be fired again. We're going to close the nose cone and protect some of those critical equipment and get the Dragon oriented in a position ready for entry.
Yeah, so it takes a couple of minutes for the nose cone to close. It doesn't just swing shut. And so it'll be closed, and then there will be latches that will secure it into position. From there, we will slew the Dragon into his orientation to make sure that the
slew
heat
the
shields
Dragon.
are
Come on,
facing
how
forward,
can
so to speak? The heat shield will be what?
How can they say that without laughing? We're gonna slew the Dragon. Man.
We'll go through the blackout period where we won't have comms from Dragon to ground or ground to Dragon. Then after that, we'll deploy our parachutes and land.
So the atmosphere is going to do a lot of the work here to slow the vehicle down. We're still close to orbital velocity. Of course, we're a little bit slower because we're dropping in altitude, and that is purposeful. The Dragon and the crew inside is now committed to enter the Earth's atmosphere and splash down off the coast of Pensacola, Florida. Dragon systems look good. The crew is monitoring every step of the way and checking in and saying that they are following closely. Everything's looking good on that end, and of course, the weather is cooperating, which is super essential. So we're about to enter into the atmosphere and slow down all the way down to 350 miles per hour. It's going to be a number of minutes for that procedure to take place. It takes about 7 minutes from the time that we enter into the Earth's atmosphere and lose the signal with the crew. So don't worry, that is normal. We expect a loss of signal for about 7 minutes. The communications can't get through the...
You guys listening?
Engulfing the Dragon on its way in. But it should be about a 7-minute period as predicted, right? So there may be a little extra lag time in there, just depending on a series of events. But they'll be calling to the crew at the end of that anticipated period to check in and hear how that sequence went and make sure everything is good for the next series of automatic events, which is the deployment of the parachutes and eventual splashdown.
Yeah, it is important to note.
If you didn't hear that, there's a period of 7 minutes where they go from close to 17,000 miles an hour down to 300 and something miles an hour. That's a lot of G's, first of all. Forward, slowing down. But can I tell you about the firmament? It's hard. Like molten looking glass. And that's what they're feeling. That it takes 7 minutes for them to get through it or whatever. Get into it, out of it. To enter the Earth's atmosphere without burning up. Like literally burning up. You'd start on fire if you were going that fast. And just think about it. We need to get our heads right. Seriously.
Now to get ready for that entry prep, really with the heat shield pointed towards the Earth. So we're in the final stretch here, Andy. It's really happening.
So we should get confirmation, if not already, that the nose cone has closed, and we are getting confirmation nose cone is closed. And so again, we are slewing to the right orientation, and during this, for the next 19 minutes or so, Dragon's altitude is decreasing. And then once we get low enough and start building that friction, we will enter the blackout communication. So around 7:19 p.m. Pacific time is when we're expecting the blackout communications period.
So as we begin the
Blackout.
second half of entry, Dragon is now beginning to flush nitrox into the cabin and continuing to top off Shane, Megan, Aki, and Tomas' suits with cool air. Again, this is what will allow the cabin temperature to remain comfortable while external temperatures reach 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit. That heat shield is pointed forward, leading
That's the
capsule
firmament.
to that landing site.
Yes, and we are targeting the primary site today.
That's the firmament. All Around Flat says the fastest aircraft can only travel 6,000 miles an hour, which is very fast, by the way. That's why these crafts aren't aircraft. That's why they have to come down in parachutes. They don't have wings. So they're in, like I say, they're not in the Earth. They're not in the airspace of the Earth when they're in so-called space. So let me just play this video really quick. It's just like a wake-up call.
I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn. In this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking
version 1
great things.
spacecraft up there, and we're now about to fly sort of version 2 and version 3. And with each one, we're able to make the reusability of the heat shield better. So
Okay, so yeah, Roderick's getting the idea. So Roderick says, let's say the winds and waters above is 17,000 miles an hour. Then I can see it possible. Well, you got to think about it like this way. We do see the stars going around. They move across the whole sky, just like the sun and moon do. You know, like I don't think they're even moving a speed, because I don't think that they're like that. I think that they're some other nature that we don't understand. But if we had to tell a speed they were going, they're going really fast, because they go over the whole sky in one day. That's pretty fast. But if they're all going in a circle, just think about this. They're all going in a circle in a place where there's nothing. So 17,000 miles an hour, what would be going 17,000 miles an hour? Darkness. Darkness is going 17,000 miles an hour. That's why I can show videos. Let me find a video. Yeah, let me get a video. I just thought of a video. Thank you, Roderick. I gotta find it, though. Remember when they sent that car up there? That's the video I'm looking for. I think it's in this folder. I might have to do a search for it. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't think it's in here. Yeah. Oh, let's watch this. Sorry, I'm gonna do it a different way. We'll try that again.
Sunday morning, the SpaceX Dragon cargo spacecraft was installed on the Earth-facing side of the Harmony module, 3 days after its launch from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority.
European Space Agency astronaut Luca Parmitano grappled the Dragon using the space station's robotic arm, Canadarm2, and NASA astronaut Andrew Morgan provided backup. The SpaceX Dragon brings 5,700 pounds of research, crew supplies, and hardware to the space station.
They worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?
See the International Space Station with your naked eye. I've seen it. You know, you look up, and people are looking at it, they got their binoculars, and they're looking at it, and you know, it's a little light, God, and it's moving. No.
Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?
Right now, you can log on to the internet if you want to. And you can go to the International Space Station, the ISS, and you can get a live feed from that space station. Right now, you can watch it as it moves across the face of the earth.
Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?
Think of all these people that are going to be going up.
The Dragon will spend about 1 month at the station and then return to Earth with cargo and research results.
And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast.
Thousands of photographs and videos from the space station as it moved in the heavens above the earth. It such a magnificent sight, it took his breath away.
Space is so incredibly black, so incredibly dark. It's a bottomless pit, bottomless pit.
Okay, so, do you guys want to know how fast? Oh, I can't even play it. I thought I had the right copy. I didn't. That would have been funny, though. Are you hearing music? I thought I could hear something for a second. That was weird. In my headphones. Anyway. I don't know what that was all about. Maybe that's just a car outside. I don't know. Sorry, guys. Live coverage. Give me a minute here. Let's see. Alright. There's just no sound right now. That's okay. How about this? Because I need a second to look for something. This is White Bat Audio on YouTube. I will try to find a link.
Entry targeting is also nominal. Note that you may see the landing site slightly off in the world view. That is expected and nominal due to the entry purge, and entry guidance will clean that up, so that's nominal. There's no doubts as to whether the recovery fast boats have been launched, and they're awaiting arrival. I'll copy.
Great news all around. Thanks, Chris, and we copy all.
We copy, thank you.
I'm just looking for something. But yeah, there's the link in the chat.
That everything continues to look good. We did have a successful deorbit burn, and so we're just really in a waiting period right now before we begin that entry coming up in approximately 10 minutes when the crew themselves will enter into the Earth's atmosphere and the heat shield being pointed in the right direction, and the vehicle itself will slow down over the course of about 7 minutes until they get on the other side into the Earth's atmosphere, and we can talk to them again, slowing down from 17,000 miles an hour to about 350 miles an hour. That briefing was spectacular, Andy. It sounds like the weather is cooperating, and all of the recovery teams are in place. In fact, the fast boats that we were talking about earlier have already deployed. We are getting ready to bring these guys home.
Yeah, there are really no changes in what we were expecting, or what we heard prior to the deorbit sequence. So in that sense, everything was great leading up to the deorbit sequence, and everything remains great right now for crew splashdown and recovery. So again, we've been hearing nothing but good news all broadcasts. We are about 5 minutes away from slewing of the Dragon to orient it correctly, and then a few minutes after that from anticipated loss of signal. Again, that communications blackout period.
I think that guy just likes to say slew the dragon. That's what I think.
So a lot's going to happen. Let's go through the sequence of events here while we have a little bit of time as we're waiting for that slew, of course, and then, of course, the entry sequence itself. Once the Dragon slews or orients itself right in the precise position where the heat shield is pointed in the right direction, Andy, as you mentioned, we're going to enter into a period where we will lose the signal, and that's just because of the plasma that's building up on the outside of the spacecraft. Communications can't get through, so the plasma is building up because we are using the atmosphere itself to slow us down.
The four winds. Fighting against the four winds.
We need to slow down quite a bit, eventually to get us to about 15 miles an hour. So
see, that's what's wrong in our world. That's what's wrong with the way that we look at it. They're just going back into the Earth. They're just re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. What's that going to hurt? Well, it's going to hurt things that we don't believe in, apparently. What about those angels? Oh, this was actually the one I was looking for. This is also the same Carl Casey White Bat Audio channel. I just like his music. I think it's great. So it's great for videos anyway. Check it out. Yeah, so that I put the link in the chat there. I'll try to put it in the pinned comment or something too. So, let's go back to this for a minute. But yeah, that plasma, I want to check it out while the 7 minutes while they're breaking into the Earth again.
As long as that first fast boat is able to do its job, the other fast boat will go ahead and recover the main chute that's in the water. If that first fast boat, for whatever reason, motor failure, who knows, cannot do their job, it serves as a redundant vehicle. From there, a rigger who's typically
that's a redundant boat, dude.
The vehicle on a jet ski will approach the vehicle
and
actually physically climb up on top of the Dragon capsule.
This music goes like, you know, James Bond type.
A lot of hoisting equipment that they'll need to attach to the capsule, and this is really to prepare the vehicle to be, again, lifted out of the water. There is a larger recovery vessel that has a sort of hoisting a crane of sorts on the back of it, and there's a platform nest that the Dragon capsule out of the water, place it on the nest, secure it in place. From there, and then we can finally get to see the crew egress the Dragon capsule.
That's right. The nest itself is a
Hey, SpaceX, our tablets are secure, the strings are tightened, visors are down.
We copy all, thank you. Approximately 4 minutes, 30 seconds until anticipated comm blackout. We'll see you on the other side at 0326.
Copy 0326, talk to you then.
Whoops. I just had my mic down. This is actually really dangerous what they're
4
doing right
minutes,
now.
30 seconds takes us to 7:20, right on the money. 7:20 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8:20 p.m. Eastern. So that's the comm blackout that we were talking about. It's a 7-minute period.
All right.
Where, we're really in the atmosphere at that point. The heat shield is doing its job of dissipating.
It takes 7 minutes to get through
surrounding the vehicle at that time and
that
the vehicle down to
all those
350
different
miles an
speeds
hour. So,
that they're going.
everything is happening right on cue. 7:20 p.m. is when we're.
It's like slamming on the brakes of your car for
so
7
there might
minutes.
be a variation of a couple of seconds, couple of minutes. We'll stand by for that.
Just think about
7-minute
it.
period. So we'll be
It's
looking
really
at
hot on the
approximately
vehicle, really hard for the
to
vehicle.
7:27.
Yeah, and again, as we get closer to the end of the blackout communications period, we typically hear the either Dragon or ground pinging each other to make sure that they do have signal acquisition. So again, 7 minutes, and we'll be with you the entire way for signal acquisition. Shortly after that, the drogue chutes will deploy. That happens at about 18,000 feet, and then at 6,500 feet, that's when the main chutes deploy. So we talked about deployment in terms of speed,
right?
But there are sensors on the Dragon vehicle that detect both velocity and pressure, and they know basically exactly when to deploy. So again, the Dragon vehicle, super intelligent and basically pilots itself. That's why even through this blackout period, the Dragon knows where it's at, it knows where it needs to go. So the crew is in good hands.
An automatic flight all the way.
The crew is in the good hands of the Dragon.
8 hours ago, when the Dragon itself, more than 8 hours ago at this point, undocked from the International Space Station, the Zenith port, and backed up to about 220 meters, an automatic procedure, followed by an automatic fly around. In fact, the crew were really hands-off throughout that whole period. The commander, Shane Kimbrough, and pilot Megan MacArthur were in their seats monitoring the entire procedure, while Thomas Pesquet was at the forward window that was pointed right at the International Space Station, taking pictures for about an hour and a half as it circled the International Space Station. We got awesome pictures.
There, I added a clip there. I'll tell you what it is.
Seen them yet, but
I'll make it a little bigger because their page is so boring. So this is just a bunch of home video of a SpaceX second stage that is coming back into orbit. It deorbited wrong. So this is something that could happen to their Dragon spacecraft. It probably won't, but it's something. That's what would happen if something failed. They burn up like a roasted marshmallow or worse. And it goes in a straight line across the sky because they're going so fast. So there you go. I'll turn the volume back on.
25 minutes away from splashdown. And so again, we are going to be entering that blackout communications period, but once we're on the other side, so to speak, of that, things happen very, very quickly. Drogue chutes deploy, main chutes deploy, and we're in the water just a few minutes later. And you mentioned, Gary, the WB-57 is up in the air. It is equipped with imaging technology that
Artist Valiant says, that much G-force though? How? Well, the only way I can imagine it myself, or start to, is we've all stuck our hand out the window going 55 or 60 down the road, and you get that much wind blowing at you. Do it at 100 miles an hour. Now do it at 200 miles an hour. Now do it at 500 miles an hour. Now do it at 1,000 miles an hour. Do you get what I'm saying? That amount of force against that vehicle, because there's a gradient of air pressure, there's a gradient of air basically, they hit the thin part first, so they have to come in at the right angle, like the perfect angle, or the vehicle will burn up. but they've done this many times, and so they think that they've got... Basically, they're doing exactly what Lucifer wants them to do. So, and it's going to end in destruction, and that's all been written. It is very strange. Yeah, it's so weird to see them going sideways instead of coming down, because they're in the sides of the pit. They're sinking into Sheol. Like, that's not our world. Like, and that's why it's so interesting to me that even science, or NASA, their fake science, their globe science, says that they're falling. Hello, Awakening and Aware. What from BC? Wow, Chinata Kubata Cantata. So, let's see here. Let's get rid of that. All right, we're going to listen in again.
To maybe anywhere to like 4.5 Gs.
There, he answered it for you, 4.5 Gs.
The crew is definitely going to be anticipating that, and that's definitely part of their training and knowledge.
So we're standing by. We are in the blackout period right now. This blackout period expected to last an additional 6 or so minutes until we hear some of the first calls from the crew inside Dragon, now slowing down from 17,000 miles an hour to about 350 miles an hour when we hear them on the other side of this blackout period.
That's the firmament, guys. You can't break through it. You got to burn your way through it. Thank you, Awakening and Aware Canada.
Again, we have a...
Yeah, it's very important the angle they come in.
Aircraft that is deployed with an imaging system on board to get those initial views using infrared cameras that are on board. So even though it is nighttime, as long as the vehicle is able to identify and track the vehicle, which with the infrared camera...
Questioning the answers. Good to see you. We are watching prophecy take place. We're watching the book of Revelation, the war in heaven. There's 4 angels holding the 4 winds, and there's a dragon fighting against them. Actually, right now they're in the blackout period. They're going like from 17,000 miles an hour down to 350 in a 7-minute period, and they're in the middle of it right now. So we'll listen in.
The vessel right now, getting ready to welcome the crew on board once the fast boats get out to the capsule and rig it with some of the equipment that's necessary to hoist it on board using the A-frame on the Go Navigator spacecraft. We are really in the critical period right now, just eagerly awaiting, I think all of the teams are, the comms at the end when we have an acquisition of signal.
This is the moment.
And some of the first views.
This is the blackout, the comms blackout. They can't communicate. This is when the shuttle that burned up coming in. This is that moment. Like, they never got communication back. Like right now, if their Dragon failed and they burnt up or something, there would just be no more communication, and everybody would just finally realize it once that there were so many minutes gone by. So we hope that don't happen, but it's bound to happen one of these times. I mean, how? Yeah, I don't know. Let's listen in.
So again, I mentioned things are going to be happening very, very quickly as soon as we get out of here. Garrick, we are under 10 minutes until splashdown.
I cannot wait. This is a very dynamic period, so we are listening very closely to all of the different sequence of event, because as you're saying, Andy, a lot is going to happen. We're more than halfway through this expected blackout period, an expected 7-minute period. Of course, there might be some variation, but we're expecting an acquisition of signal and initial communications from the crew before we see the deployment of the drogue parachutes and main parachutes. There's about maybe about 2 minutes difference from when we should first hear from the crew themselves at about 7:27, and about 7:29 p.m. Pacific is when we should see the drogues and the main chutes deploy. And again, I say both of them at 7:29 because that's how fast that sequence is. It's about 8-second deployment from of confirmation of the drogue chutes themselves, and 40 seconds later, the main chutes are out. It's very, very quick.
Powder Toast Man from Ren and Stimpy. That's funny.
So really, any minute now, we are expecting anticipated acquisition of signal to reconnect that communications line between the spacecraft and the folks here on the ground at Earth.
See, this is like the moment of...
From this moment in time, about a minute left in the anticipated period. Again,
A minute.
It's not an exact science. There might be some variation.
Exactly, it's not an exact science, you clowns.
It just depends on a couple of different factors. But we're all eagerly at the edge of our seats right now, just standing by.
Basically, they're telling you, we don't actually know what's happening, but we should hear from
track it as we enter the final
within a
moments of
minute.
this blackout period. We're getting WB views. The first views of Crew Dragon.
Look at that.
Tail.
Fire coming down from
That's the
heaven.
3,500 degrees.
Yes.
Look for the hot thing, right?
It is the hottest thing in the sky right now. That is such a... It's literally lighting up the
Endeavour,
sky.
SpaceX, come check.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And Dragon, we've got you. Expect automated parachute deployment, and we have you on visual.
Automated shoots.
Wonderful to hear from the crew on the other side of the blackout period. The WB-57 high-altitude aircraft providing that thermal imaging. We saw the tail of the entry of the vehicle itself. Absolutely
Dragon,
beautiful.
GPS converge. Expect nominal altitude for drogues.
Copy GPS, nominal altitude.
So again, nominal altitude for drogue deployment. That happens at about 18,000 feet. Again, good news after good news, Gary. Things are looking great for Crew 2 return.
I am loving this flight. That altitude expected 1 minute from now.
Parachutes are a crazy thing, too. Like, they're scary. They gotta go just right.
Right as anticipated, Andy.
Dragon, brace for drogue window.
We're braced.
The thermal imaging system on board the WB-57 is getting us great views of the capsule, but should give us equally good views of the drogue deployment, expected seconds from now.
The capsule is traveling about 350 miles an hour, and the drogue chute's job is to slow it down to about 120.
Drogues deployed. Confirmation. That'll slow us down from 350 miles an hour to 120 miles an hour.
Dragon, visual on 2 healthy drogues. Descent rate nominal.
Copy, great news.
So in about 30 seconds, the main chutes are going to come out. There are 4 of them, and they deploy at about 6,500 feet. Oh, Gary, look at this. This is an excellent view.
It's the only dragon I know of that's fallen out of the sky.
Drogue separation.
Hey,
Main
looks like
chute
they got their
deployed.
chutes right.
We'll wait for confirmation of 4 healthy mains.
So let me introduce an idea to you, awakening and aware. It says a plane is flying up to drop the rocket in upper atmosphere. That would be obviously something they could do, right? Oh, did they only got 3 out of 4 working, right? Is that 4th one not opening up? Oh no. That could be bad. What are they saying?
You heard on the loops there 4 healthy mains. Descent rate is nominal. That means we are expecting
3.5 healthy
3
mains.
minutes from now.
That doesn't look too healthy. They can still be fine on 3 though. But that does not look that healthy, that 4th one.
Mains taking slightly longer to inflate. But the teams are tracking that as a nominal inflation rate, and the descent rate is as expected.
Looks like it's working.
4 healthy mains, and we are expecting an on-time splashdown.
Better expect it a little quicker than normal. So
600 meters.
Let me just say this. There they go. They're all working now. Okay, let me just say this. If it were a plane that they were dropping this out of, that would mean, and this is very important, but if they're dropping this capsule out of a plane, that means that they're deceiving the world by faking miracles, right? Or faking these great things, right? That's not what happens in the Bible. Paul said that we're not struggling against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities and the rulers of the darkness of this world. The darkness of this world, that's where this dragon just came from. Darkness, space, whatever you want to call it. The place where the stars are. So that's where we're struggling against. It says spiritual wickedness in high places, in the heavenly realm. Cosmic powers of evil in the heavenly realm. To me, that is devils that live in the sky. Look at that. They gave us the thermal cam, the night vision. So, there's a dragon being cast out into the earth. We just watched it. We all just watched it. Yay, it's in the water. Look at that. A horn with what is it? Looks like a he-goat with a notable horn between his eyes. Oh, man. There you go. Dragon splashes down back on earth. Remember the verses we were just reading? In Revelation. The great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. I just thought of another one. It is 2nd Esdras 15. Let's look at sacred text. Is that up? That's not going to come up. I think it's this one. Maybe it's this one. There's a couple of different ones. Whoops. There's a couple of different versions, and I like how they are. Talks about the dragons of Arabia. Behold, an horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east. There the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth. How did Ezra know this? Think about that. How did Ezra know about dragons being, their chariots being carried as wind upon earth? That all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Carminians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand. And from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them. Okay, look at this. They shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth, even their own star. Well, NASA has their own star. The space station. And blood shall be from the sword unto the belly. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of places where it mentions this dragon. I mean, that just mentioned the space station, even their own star. I have a video about that. Let's watch it.
You know, we've been studying as deep as we can into some of the astronomical events that have taken place in the world. And when we start talking about this destroyer, obviously millions of things, something major comes to mind, but a lot of different clues on what a lot of mythologies talk about. I mean, almost all of them have this star or thing or whatever you want to call it that comes forth and creates a catastrophic event that really actually changes, and you'll get into that, but changes time itself.
Yeah, it changes time itself. It changes the calendar.
This star.
This is the only place that humans have outside of planet Earth where humans can live. And if you like, down there on Earth, you can actually see it with your naked eye. You just go to the ISS website and it tells you when to see us. You can look up in the sky and you will see this bright little star moving over the sky.
This star.
Now, when this war begins, also the war in the heavenlies will take place. And we're going to look at a text here in 2nd Esdras, and we're going to look behind the scenes into the spiritual realm for just a moment. In 2nd Esdras 15:35, and they shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth. And even their own star. And blood shall be from the sword unto the belly, and even their own star. And even their own star.
This bright little star moving over the sky.
And even their own star. Now this talks about casualties in the angelic realm of stars being beat down to the earth by other stars. This is literally an angel war that we're seeing, and the war in heaven. This is going to be wild, and I don't know how much of this we're going to see. During this time, the word in Isaiah says, you know, you better get in and hide, because there's going to be all kinds of strange going on. This is when Jesus said men's hearts are going to fail them for fear. Their hearts are just going to give out because it's just too much for them. Now, there is a precise correlation to this in the scripture about the smiting down of the stars. Now, let's read it in Daniel chapter 8 and verse 10. And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. that there's going to be casualties in this spiritual war. We're actually going to have angels fighting and destroying one another, casting them to the ground and stamping them. And in this text, it says that the little horn will do this.
Okay, you guys will like this part. It's coming up here. Okay, so Daniel, he saw something, and it's crazy, but you got to listen to what he described seeing, because it was a vision. He was describing what he saw with his eyes, and it was something that was going to happen at the end of days.
Behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him. But he cast him down to the ground, and stamped upon him. There was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken. And for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. So that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And even their own star.
This bright little star moving over the sky. This is the only place that humans have outside of planet Earth where humans can live. And if you like, down there on Earth, you can actually see it with your naked eye. You just go to the ISS website, and it tells you when to see us. You can look up in the sky, and you will see this bright little star.
This star
moving over the sky. Here we are, 6 humans on the International Space Station, the embassy of humankind out in space.
And even their own star.
You can look up in the sky and
they that dwell on the earth.
Okay, so one of the astronauts that just landed on the Dragon, I forgot her name, but she does an interview from while she was up there, and I'm going to play some parts of it, and she's going to talk about what space smells like a little bit. So check it out.
The Crew Dragon. The Crew Dragon to get us from Earth to low Earth orbit. The Crew Dragon, the Falcon 9 rocket into space. Crew Dragon, Crew Dragon, Crew Dragon, now here on the International Space Station.
Orbiting laboratory. Work is being done up there.
The International Space Station is outside the Earth's atmosphere in space. Tricky spacewalk. Astronaut on the International Space Station to help keep the space station running. Maybe you're working on the toilet to understand dark matter to space. Thawing out, human cells to return that science to Earth's microgravity laboratory. It's like 6,000 square feet up here in the International Space Station. There's a lot of other people up here. We're going to be here for 6 months. We're in it for the long haul, which is also very exciting.
Spacewalks and using tools in space.
The Artemis program.
The Artemis program.
The Artemis program, and the work that we do right here on the International Space Station. Been an astronaut, oh gosh, I'm just not going to be any good at that. Space station, we're looking back billions of light years. It's kind of mind-boggling.
To the space station.
I experienced some nausea.
How is sleeping in space?
Because you're just floating. It's not used to just floating, and so it does feel a little weird.
Floating up in space.
Our planet is 2/3 covered in ocean. Of course, I love to look out the window at our beautiful planet. It's lovely to look out the window and watch the world go by. Well, it's got to be floating. You can just kind of perch up on the wall. I can just hop over to the side and just find a nice little perch to sit on board the space station.
What does it smell like in space?
So that's an interesting question. So it smells like people up here. It's not really fresh air. When people went out to do a spacewalk and then came back inside, I smelled the smell of cooking meat. It smelled like hamburger to me, which was so strange. And that smell is the smell that space smells like hamburger. It smelled like hamburger to me, which was so strange. We have so much fun up here. It's just a great time up here. I smelled the smell of cooking meat, and we're getting paid for it. 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 Maybe you're working on the toilet, and so it does feel a little weird. Oh gosh, I'm just not going to be any good at that. And we're getting paid for it. 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 I smelled the smell of cooking meat. It's kind of mind-boggling. And we're getting paid for it. Paid for it.
The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is.
Alright, I got one more video, and it is going to be a reminder, off topic, totally off topic, but I still don't like those things that they put on their face. I can't hear you.
Oh, it's because I'm distanced from you. You'd probably have a hard time hearing from me right now should I have a mask on and that be muffled.
Mr. President,
you're going to have to take that off, please. You're very muffled, so if you would take it off, it would be a lot easier.
Okay.
I can't hear you!
Hello,
Yes.
I can't hear you. I said I can't hear you.
I can't hear you.
I can hear you!
I can't hear you. You're very muffled.
I can't hear you!
I can't hear you! I can't hear you! I can't hear you!
Oh wait, one more video. One more. So when's normal coming back? Let's check it out.
Michael, good morning.
Good morning, Jeff. There's been one question here in New York City. All the people behind me here have been asking it. When will normal life return? We asked Dr. Fauci, Here's what he had to say.
Talking about getting back to a degree of normality which resembles where we were prior to COVID.
Well, actually, never mind. Doesn't matter what Fauci says. Normal life isn't going to return. Jesus is.
Michael, good morning.